It was a typical day in Jerusalem. The sun shone brightly in the sky, illuminating the narrow streets and bustling markets. People from all over came to the city, each with their own stories and hopes. However, no one could predict what was about to happen that day, an event that would change their lives forever. Jerusalem had always been a city full of mysteries and miracles. Stories of great deeds and divine interventions were part of everyday life, but what happened that day left even the most skeptical speechless. Suddenly, without warning, an intense and bright light appeared in the sky, right in the center of the city. It was so strong that it made everyone stop and look up, perplexed. The light was unlike any other. It had a purity and intensity that seemed to come from another world. People began to murmur, asking each other what it could be. Some remembered the ancient prophecies that spoke of signs from the heavens, while others thought it could be a warning of something grand about to happen. The light began to take shape, revealing a celestial figure hovering over the city. It was an angel with resplendent wings and an expression of peace and authority. His presence brought a sense of calm and hope, even in the midst of general astonishment. The angel spoke, and his voice was like a gentle song echoing in the hearts of the people. "Do not be afraid, inhabitants of Jerusalem. I bring good news of great joy. A miracle has happened, and great things are to come. The Lord has heard his people's prayers and has sent me to announce his message of hope and redemption." The angel's words resonated deeply with everyone who heard them. There was a sense of expectation in the air, as if something incredible was about to be revealed. People began to gather, seeking to understand more about that divine message. As the angel spoke, the light around him shone even brighter, illuminating the entire city. That light seemed to penetrate the soul of each person, filling them with a feeling of peace and joy they had never experienced before. It was as if heaven itself had descended to earth, bringing a promise of renewal and hope. The angel continued, "Great things will happen soon. Believe, for the Lord is among you. His miracles will manifest, and all will know that he is the Lord of hosts, the Almighty God. Prepare to witness his glory and wonders." With these words, the celestial figure began to slowly disappear, leaving the light gradually dimming until it vanished completely. The people, still astonished, remained silent for a moment, digesting what they had just witnessed. Then, a murmur of excitement and joy began to spread through the streets. The news of the miracle spread quickly throughout Jerusalem and beyond. People from all over began to come to the city, drawn by the hope of seeing and experiencing the promised miracles. Hearts were renewed, and a new flame of faith began to burn in everyone. What exactly would happen was still unclear, but one thing was certain: great things were about to happen. Jerusalem would become the stage for extraordinary events, and all who were present would witness a new chapter in the history of humanity, a chapter written by the hands of God himself. And so, the city waited, full of expectation and hope, knowing they were about to live through one of the most significant and transformative moments of all time. The following days were filled with intense expectation and fervor. People continued their daily activities, but now there was a different vibration in the air. All eyes were turned to the sky, and all hearts were filled with hope. The miracle announced by the angel had ignited a flame of faith that could not be extinguished. In the streets of Jerusalem, conversations revolved around the celestial event. Families gathered at night to recount what they had seen and heard. Children asked their elders about ancient miracles and prophecies, and the elders shared their stories with a new energy, as if rejuvenated by the event. In the main square, religious leaders and scripture scholars gathered to discuss the meaning of the miracle. Questions arose. What exactly did the angel mean by "great things will happen"? How should they prepare? What did the future hold for Jerusalem and the world? Meanwhile, pilgrims from distant lands arrived in the city, drawn by the news of the miracle. They came seeking answers, hope, and a deeper connection with the divine. Inns and homes filled up, and the streets were crowded with people from all parts, each bringing their own stories and expectations. Among those who arrived was a man named Elias. He was known as a wise and just man who had dedicated his life to studying the scriptures and prayer. Elias felt in his heart that he should go to Jerusalem and seek the truth about the miracle. Upon arriving, he mingled with the crowd, listening attentively to the conversations and observing the signs. One night, as Elias walked through the silent streets of the city, he had an unexpected encounter. A woman, who appeared to be a simple peasant, approached him. Her eyes shone with an unusual light, and she seemed at peace despite the agitation around. "You are Elias, aren't you?" she asked softly. "I am Miriam. The Lord has sent me to speak with you. I have a message to deliver." Elias, surprised, nodded and listened attentively as Miriam spoke. She told him about a vision she had, in which the angel who appeared in Jerusalem revealed more details about the future events. According to the vision, great miracles would occur soon. The sick would be healed, the blind would regain their sight, and hardened hearts would be transformed by God's love. "You must share this message with everyone," said Miriam. "God is with us, and his promises will be fulfilled. The Lord has chosen you, Elias, to be a bearer of this message of hope." With his heart full of joy and reverence, Elias thanked Miriam and promised to do as she asked. In the following days, he began to share the message with everyone he met. His words touched people's hearts, bringing them comfort and renewing their faith. And then, the miracles began to happen. First, a woman blind from birth was healed. Her eyes opened, and she could see the beauty of the world for the first time. The people who witnessed this fell to their knees, praising God and thanking him for his mercy. Next, a paralyzed man, who had been unable to walk for years, stood up and began to walk. His steps were firm and sure, and he cried tears of joy as he thanked the Lord for his healing. These miracles multiplied, each more extraordinary than the last. And with each miracle, people's faith grew even stronger. Jerusalem became a place of transformation and spiritual renewal, where the power of God was evident and undeniable. The angel's words were fulfilled, and great things were indeed happening. The entire world heard of the events in Jerusalem, and many traveled from afar to see with their own eyes what God was doing. The city became a beacon of hope, a living testimony to divine power and love. And so, the story of Jerusalem and its miracles continued to be told, inspiring generations and reminding everyone that, even in the darkest moments, God's light can shine and transform lives. As the days passed, the fame of the miracles in Jerusalem spread throughout the land. People from all corners came to witness and experience the wonders that were happening. The city was vibrant with a new energy, a combination of faith, hope, and the palpable presence of the divine. Among the many visitors was a group of wise men from the east. They were known for their wisdom and knowledge of the stars. Intrigued by the stories of the miracles, they decided to make the long journey to Jerusalem to see for themselves. They brought precious gifts such as gold, incense, and myrrh, symbols of their reverence and respect. Upon arriving in the city, the wise men were received with hospitality. People were eager to share their own experiences and hear the stories of those who had traveled from so far away. Amid this environment of exchange and celebration, a new miracle was about to happen. In a quiet corner of the city lived a young woman named Sarah. She was known for her kindness and generosity, but she carried a deep sadness in her heart. Sarah had lost her voice after a severe illness as a child. Since then, she communicated only through gestures and expressions, but her smile never disappeared, reflecting an impressive inner strength. The wise men heard about Sarah and felt in their hearts that they should visit her. Upon meeting her, they were impressed by her serenity and inner light. One of the wise men, a man with a long beard and gentle eyes, approached Sarah and said, "We have come from afar in search of miracles, and we feel there is a miracle waiting for you too." With these words, the wise man lightly touched Sarah's throat, and in an instant, a sensation of warmth and light spread through her body. Sarah felt something change inside her. Hesitantly, she tried to speak, and for the first time in many years, her voice echoed softly and melodiously. "Thank you," she said, tears of joy streaming down her face. The news of Sarah's healing spread quickly. Once again, Jerusalem found itself enveloped in celebrations and thanksgivings. People gathered to hear Sarah's new voice, which now sang praises to God with a sweetness that touched everyone's soul. The wise men, satisfied for having followed their hearts, decided to stay in Jerusalem for a while, sharing their knowledge and wisdom with the inhabitants. Their conversations with religious leaders and scripture scholars brought new perspectives and understanding of the divine events. And so, day after day, the miracles continued to manifest. In one moment, a sick child miraculously recovered. In another, a man tormented by demons found peace and freedom. The city was transformed into a true sanctuary of faith and renewal. The ancient prophecies were constantly revisited and studied, and the angel's words resonated in everyone's hearts. Great things will happen. The promise was being fulfilled before their eyes, and the belief in a glorious and blessed future grew stronger every day. One of the most notable miracles occurred when a group of fishermen from the Sea of Galilee brought a miraculous catch to the city. They had cast their nets after an entire night without success, but, guided by an inner voice, tried again. To their surprise, the nets filled with fish of all kinds, almost breaking. This event was seen as a sign that God was blessing not only Jerusalem but the entire region. The city became a central point of pilgrimage, a place where people from all nations came to seek healing, wisdom, and spiritual renewal. Jerusalem was now a living witness to God's power and His ability to transform lives. As time passed, the teachings and miracles of Jerusalem continued to spread across the world, inspiring future generations. The message of hope and redemption that began with a celestial light in the sky of Jerusalem became an eternal flame, illuminating the hearts of the faithful and reminding everyone that, even amidst difficulties, the divine presence is always among us, ready to do great things. As the miracles multiplied, Jerusalem became a city of encounters and reunions. People who hadn't seen each other for years reunited, reconciling and forgiving each other. There was a sense of unity and communion never experienced before. The city pulsed with new life, and every corner seemed to be a stage for new miracles and divine revelations. Amid this atmosphere, a new spiritual leader emerged. His name was Joel, a man of unwavering faith and deep compassion. Joel stood out not only for his teachings but also for his ability to listen and understand people's needs. He quickly became a central figure, guiding many on their spiritual journey. Joel used to gather people at dawn by the banks of the Jordan River for moments of prayer and meditation. He spoke of God's love, the importance of forgiveness, and the need to keep faith even in the most challenging times. His words touched hearts and inspired profound changes in listeners' lives. One of those mornings, as the sun rose over the river, Joel shared a vision he had the previous night. He saw a vast field of golden, ripe wheat, gently swaying in the wind. In the center of the field was a small mustard plant, growing rapidly until it became a large tree, providing shelter and shade for all kinds of birds. This vision, said Joel, is a symbol of God's kingdom. Though it starts small, with just a seed of faith, it grows and becomes a refuge for all. We are called to be this seed, to spread hope and love so that God's kingdom may flourish among us. Joel's words resonated deeply, and many felt a renewal in their faith. Inspired, they began to practice acts of kindness and generosity, helping the needy, healing the sick, and comforting the afflicted. The city of Jerusalem became not only a place of miracles but also a center of love and solidarity. Amid this transformation, one of the greatest miracles occurred. A family living near Jerusalem had a son, David, who had been born with a disability that prevented him from walking. For years, his parents sought healing in vain but never lost hope. They heard about the miracles in Jerusalem and decided to bring David to the city, hoping he too might be healed. When they arrived, they were welcomed by Joel, who tenderly placed his hand on David's head and prayed fervently. Lord, in your infinite mercy, show us your power once again. Let this young man be a living testimony of your glory. At that moment, David felt an energy coursing through his body. He looked at his parents, who encouraged him with hopeful gazes. Slowly, he began to move his legs, and with Joel's help, took his first steps. His parents' tears of joy mingled with those of the onlookers who witnessed the miracle. David not only walked but ran and jumped, celebrating his new life. The news of David's healing spread like wildfire through the city, further strengthening people's faith. That healing was a powerful symbol of God's love and power, reminding everyone that with faith, nothing is impossible. As the years passed, Jerusalem continued to be a beacon of faith, hope, and love. The stories of miracles were recorded and passed down from generation to generation, inspiring countless people around the world. Joel continued his ministry until the end of his days, leaving a legacy of wisdom and compassion. He always reminded people that the true miracle was in God's love, which could transform hearts and change lives. Time passed, and Jerusalem flourished as a spiritual and cultural center. The influence of the miracles and teachings of Joel continued to grow, attracting people from all corners of the world. Jerusalem became a symbol of hope, a place where faith and compassion reigned supreme. Among the many who visited the city was a woman named Rebecca. She was a writer and chronicler, fascinated by the stories of transformation and miracles that emanated from Jerusalem. Rebecca decided to dedicate her life to recording these events so that future generations could know and learn from the miracles that occurred there. Rebecca interviewed many who had witnessed the miracles or experienced miraculous healings. Their stories varied, but they all shared a common theme: the incredible capacity of love and faith to overcome even the most difficult circumstances. She compiled these stories into a book, which became a source of inspiration and comfort for people worldwide. As Rebecca continued her work, a new generation of spiritual leaders emerged in Jerusalem. A young man named Samuel, inspired by Joel's teachings, began to attract followers with his vision of a world united by peace and compassion. Samuel had a charismatic presence and wisdom that transcended his age. He taught that each person had the power to be an agent of change, a bearer of the divine light in the world. Samuel started a movement called the Walk of Light, where he and his followers traveled to different regions, bringing help, hope, and teachings to needy communities. During these walks, they not only preached about love and compassion, but also performed concrete acts of humanitarian aid. They built shelters, distributed food, and provided medical care, demonstrating that true faith manifests through acts of kindness. One day, during one of these walks, Samuel and his group arrived at a village devastated by a recent storm. The houses were destroyed, and the residents were despondent and hopeless. Samuel gathered everyone and began to pray, asking for strength and guidance to help the community. As he prayed, something miraculous happened. The clouds that covered the sky parted, and a radiant rainbow appeared. Inspired by that sign, the residents and Samuel's followers worked tirelessly together. Within days, the village began to transform. Houses were rebuilt, and hope was restored in people's hearts. The news of the village's transformation spread quickly, and more people joined Samuel's movement. They saw that the combination of faith, action, and compassion could truly make a difference in the world. Samuel became a recognized leader, not only in Jerusalem but worldwide, symbolizing the continuation of the miracles that began in the holy city. Jerusalem continued to be a beacon of light, attracting people in search of spiritual and physical healing. The stories of miracles and transformations continued to be told and retold, each adding a new layer of meaning to the rich tapestry of the city's faith and hope. One of the most significant events was the construction of the Temple of Unity, a place where people of all religions and beliefs could gather to pray, meditate, and celebrate life. The temple was built with the help of volunteers from around the world, symbolizing the unity and diversity of humanity. Inside the temple was a special wall called the Wall of Miracles, where people from all over the world left their stories of miracles and gratitude. The wall became a living testimony to the power of faith and love, inspiring all who visited. Rebecca, now an elderly woman, saw her work come to life in ways she never imagined. Her book about the miracles of Jerusalem was translated into numerous languages, and her words continued to inspire millions. She frequently visited the Temple of Unity, where she felt the divine presence and connection with all the stories she had recorded. Jerusalem, the city of miracles, continued to be a place of hope and transformation. The teachings of Joel, Samuel, and so many other spiritual leaders echoed through the ages, reminding everyone that faith, love, and compassion are the most powerful forces in the universe. As the years passed, Jerusalem solidified its place as a universal symbol of hope and spiritual renewal. The stories of miracles and transformations reached distant places, inspiring movements of faith and charity worldwide. Rebecca, now with silver hair and eyes full of wisdom, remained a respected and beloved figure in the city. Her literary work on the miracles of Jerusalem had become a classic, translated into countless languages and disseminated globally. One day, a group of young pilgrims arrived in Jerusalem from different continents. Among them was Anna, a young woman with a pure heart and a fervent determination to continue the legacy of love and compassion that the city represented. Anna had read Rebecca's books and felt deeply connected to the stories that inspired her to seek a life of service to others. Anna sought Rebecca's blessing and guidance. They met at the Temple of Unity, where the divine presence seemed more tangible. Rebecca welcomed Anna with a warm smile, seeing in her the same spark of hope that so many others had brought to Jerusalem over the years. "My dear Anna," said Rebecca, "it is a joy to see young people like you so dedicated to continuing this journey of faith and love. Always remember that every small act of kindness can be a miracle for someone." Anna felt invigorated by Rebecca's words and decided she wanted to document the new stories of miracles and transformations that continued to occur in Jerusalem. With Rebecca's support, she began interviewing people, collecting accounts of healing, redemption, and divine experiences. Among the many accounts, Anna found a story that touched her deeply. It was the story of a young man named Michael who had lost his way in life, caught up in addictions and despair. He came to Jerusalem seeking a fresh start, hearing the stories of miracles as a last resort of hope. Michael found refuge in the Temple of Unity, where he was welcomed by a community dedicated to recovery and mutual support. With patience and love, they helped Michael overcome his addictions and rediscover his faith. Michael began participating in the walks of light led by Samuel, feeling part of something greater and finding a renewed purpose. Michael's transformation was a living testimony to the power of community and faith. He devoted his life to helping others in similar situations to his own. His story became an example of redemption and a beacon of hope for many. Anna documented Michael's story with great sensitivity, realizing that every detail was a crucial piece in the grand mosaic of Jerusalem's miracles. Her work became a new source of inspiration, showing that miracles were not just extraordinary events but also small acts of kindness and courage that changed lives daily. Jerusalem's influence continued to expand. Pilgrimages to the Temple of Unity became annual events, attracting people of all religions and cultures. The stories of miracles were shared in conferences, books, films, and live broadcasts, connecting the world in a network of faith and compassion. One of the most significant moments was the creation of the Jerusalem Miracles Foundation, a global organization dedicated to promoting peace, healing, and social justice. Founded by Anna and other spiritual leaders, the foundation funded charity projects, health clinics, schools, and rehabilitation programs worldwide, spreading Jerusalem's light beyond its borders. Rebecca lived to see the lasting impact of her work and the growth of Jerusalem's legacy. In her final years, she reflected with gratitude on the extraordinary journey she had witnessed and helped shape. She felt at peace, knowing that the flame of faith, lit so many years ago, continued to burn brightly, illuminating the path for future generations. And so, the story of Jerusalem and its miracles perpetuated an eternal testimony to the transformative power of love, faith, and compassion. The holy city remained a symbol of hope and redemption, where the divine presence was felt in every corner and where every person could find a miracle, great or small, to renew their life.